All right, hello fellow coder, welcome back to this next lesson in our FreshVotes series. Now, in the previous lesson, we hit a snag with respect to our database schema, the way things are laid out in the database, in such a way that the comments, it's not working, right? The restrictions that we have and everything, the way we built this table doesn't work. So we need to rethink it. And in the previous lesson, I alluded to adding a primary key on this table that's just a standard primary key, an auto-generated, a comment ID, for this comment table, where it'll just, it'll just create a new primary key ID every single time a new row is added. That's it. That's a very typical thing. So we'll do that because, like I said, you shouldn't really be limited to the number of comments that you can add on any given feature or any given other comment. Now, that's the second thing, is it's not just commenting on features, but also commenting on comments. So it's a bit of a curveball because my first instinct was, oh, a comment belongs to a feature. That's it. We move on with our lives. And while that's true, a comment belongs to a feature. Yes, the first one does. But the second comment, you can almost think it belongs to that first comment. Doesn't necessarily belong to a feature, so to speak. Yeah, it does belong to that feature, but, so this is kind of a weird situation where, how do you make this work, right? So this is as far as my brain went, and I really wanted to continue thinking about how to design this. But I thought, no, I should do this on camera, because that's the whole point of the series, is you get the insights into my brain and how it works. So what I'm feeling like is, you have a first comment that belongs to, or rather, a feature. So one feature has many comments, right? So a one-to-many relationship. But then any individual comment could potentially have a one-to-many relationship to comments, right? Is that right? So, well, that's not... Is it a one-to-many? So this is what my brain is trying to think through. And I think it is, yes. And here's why. One comment, so let's say you comment on a feature, you say, hey, I'd really love it if you could add, I don't know, a social media button so I can log in with it or something like that. That person says that comment belongs to the feature. A bunch of other people reply to that original person's comment and say, yes, +1, love it, whatever. A whole bunch of random people just comment saying, yeah, great idea. I would love to log in with Facebook, as an example of a feature request, or a comment on a feature request. So, although that's not really how the system works, the feature request would have that feature, but whatever. Let's say someone asked for a feature in a comment and other people commented on that comment. So that one comment that the person left saying, hey, I would like a feature where we can log in with Facebook, has many other comments that belong to it, right? Many other people are replying to that comment. So that's where this one-to-many relationship makes sense, because any one of those one extra comments that were made on the original comment, any one of the, yeses, yes, great idea, whatever, any one of those maps back to one and only one comment. So this is interesting because there's also this concept of a feature. Each of these comments really also belong to a feature, right? You commented on a comment, but that comment belongs to a feature. Or you commented on a comment that's a comment from a comment that belongs to a feature at the end of the day. So it's almost like, this should have like a comment ID as the primary key. We should have a, the actual text of the comment, fine. We can have a user ID. We can have a feature ID. And then maybe we have another comment ID. But now, that is in, so maybe we just call this ID, right? Because there's a name conflict there. So we have an ID of the table. This is a primary key. This is just generated by the system. The end users don't need to worry about this. The text of the comment's important, obviously. Who posted the comment is obviously going to be important because you want to be able to display their little avatar on the comment so you know who made the comment. Maybe every single comment just should have a feature ID, right? It should be tied to a feature ID potentially. And then this one is nullable. right? This comment ID is nullable. So what this will tell us is that if there is a feature ID but no comment ID, if there's a feature ID but no comment ID, that means it's like a top level comment. That's one of the first comments, or not one of the first comments. It's a comment directly on the feature request, okay? And also, another thing is a date, right? We should know, or maybe a created date, right? So, because we need to know when these things were created so that we could sort in that order, right? So the person who posted first, they should be on top and everyone else should go below, right? So that's sort of how we're going to do it. If there's a feature ID but no comment ID, that's sort of a top level comment where it's going to, you know, that's the root of potentially a whole thread of comments. And if it has a feature ID and a comment ID, then you know where to put it, right? Then it's going to say, okay, this comment is a comment on a comment, right? This comment that we're looking at is a comment left for another comment. So that we're going to paste that in or put that in on the UI directly tied to the comment above it that it's a reply to. And then we can order those by created date. Okay, so that way we can sort of, the way it's working in my mind is I want to be able to think of a bunch of, like a graph, an example of what the UI would look like, and then make sure that as I'm going through any one of those points in the UI in my head, that there's a way to structure, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a way to represent that structure with our database schema right here in front of us, right? So if there's some complexity there that we can't figure out how to make that work to plug into our schema, then it probably won't work, right? So it has to, you take the real world scenario and it has to match up with our schema. So let's say we have a, here's our feature, and the feature is, something related to social, I would like a social share button, okay? Let's just say that's a feature. And then there's like whatever, it doesn't matter. So then there's a comment left on that feature that says, hey, I'd also like a way to log in with, social media or whatever, right? That's the comment. And then there are comments on that comment. Yes, me too. And a comment that says totally agree. And then of course, since this is the internet, we need to make sure that we add something like this. You guys are the worst. What a terrible idea. Ugh. Right? Just to really capture that negativity, right? There's no negativity on the internet, Trevor. What are you talking about? So comment. So then someone else says, what would they say? I would like a social share button. Don't forget to add, insert random social media platform no one has heard of before as well. Comment, huh? There you go. So that's just an example of, so we have a base feature here, and then we have comments on top of it, right? That's, I'm trying to represent the UI. I probably should have said that when I started this. I'm trying to take a textual representation of what the UI could look like right here in front of us. So let's say the feature ID here is, and I don't know what kind of notation to use to represent this stuff. I don't know. ID, 100, let's say. No, how would I do this? Maybe at the end? ID equals 100. So we'll call this feature ID, yeah. So then this comment ID equals, I don't know, 1000, let's say. Then this comment ID equals 1001, 1002, 1003, 1000. Actually, let's make this one 1000. No, whatever. 1004, 1005. So let's say that's sort of the structure here. Each of the comments has their own ID and the features. So then how would you, let's say we grab this one. What would the data look like for this one? Sucks when I highlight it, it gets really hard to see. It's too bad. I typically like to highlight text as I talk about it, but it really makes it hard to see when you highlight it. At least on my computer it does. So how are we going to do this? Let's grab one of these comments and make sure that we can accurately represent that data using this structure, right? So what would this look like? So, you know, for a comment, sorry, I need to, how about we do this? Can I do this? There we go. For comment, what is this? 1002. What would this look like? So ID equals 1002. The text equals totally agree. The user ID equals, yeah, who knows, right? Let's say user ID 2. That part I'm not worried about. I know how to track what users post what things. So the feature ID equals 100, right? Comment ID equals, right. So this comment ID is the one that is nullable. So this comment ID for this guy is actually 1000, right? Because it belongs to that one. And then the created date is, you know, whatever. Pick a date. So with this information, is that enough, right? Is that enough for me to, so if I were just given this one comment, what would I do with it? Well, the ID is kind of whatever. Okay, cool. So we have an ID for this guy. The text is totally agree. Okay, so I would be able to put a user's face or their profile picture or whatever on the comment, so that's good. And then, so visually speaking, there's the picture of the person, there's the text that it says, so it's the picture of the person and text that it says, and then, so we have essentially the comment itself, everything we need is encapsulated with that. We have the picture and the comment itself, but then where do you put it? Oops. I'm gesturing with my big gestures. Where do we put it on the screen, right? I want to put it somewhere. So how we figure out where to put it is, well, first, well, what feature does this belong to, right? Because maybe there's a million different feature requests across the entire, whatchamacallit, platform, app, FreshVotes app. Where do I put it first? Well, okay, we know what feature to put it into because it's tied to a feature by the feature ID. Okay, so we know to put it into the I would like a social media share button feature request. Cool. Good. The feature request page, we've got the comment with the text and the person's face, but then where on this feature page do I put it? Okay. Well, if it's just a feature ID, then we'll just put it as a top level comment and then sort by created date because we have the created date. But this one, since it's not just since this is not null, that means it's not a top level comment. So therefore, it needs to be nested underneath not a feature, but nested underneath another comment that we have specified here, and then sorted by created date. So okay, so now we know if there must be a comment ID 1000 there. Boom, we put it on that comment ID 1000, and we sort it appropriately with all the rest of the comments that may or may not be tied to that particular one. So there you go. I think that's good, right? So logically speaking, you know, that's sort of how my brain works is let's start with nothing and how can we end up with putting that thing in the exact right spot on the UI given our just the data, right? That's all we have is just the data. So it seems like that works. It seems like from a visual perspective, the way my mind works, I feel like that should get the job done. So now the next step is based on our newly generated and, you know, wonderfully thought through database schema for this particular table, the comment table. We need to translate this into Java code as an entity such that the resulting table is created automatically for us by Hibernate, right, with our entity. So that's going to be a bit tricky because of this guy. Again, I like to highlight things and I can't because it makes it hard to read. So for the comment ID, it's joining to itself, right? And I think I've done this before, but this is not overly common, this scenario, where the table joins back to itself potentially. So I don't remember how to do that. So that's going to be a little exercise in Googling for the next video. So in the next video, we're going to see, I totally understand how to have a relationship from one entity, from one table to another. That's simple. It's either one-to-one, one-to-many, or many-to-many between two tables. Very, very common stuff. So we have that. There is that relationship, but then there's also a potential relationship with itself. So not only do we have a relationship between two different tables, but we also have a relationship with the table with itself, right? And that's going to be a little weird. I've never really done that before, I don't think. I've done a self join, but I've never done, I don't think it was a simultaneous, regular relationship with another table as well as a self join potentially. So, my thought about that, if this is I'm talking to my future self now, my thought is maybe, no, because we need the feature ID. I was going to say maybe we ditch the feature ID, but no, eventually some comment is going to have to know what feature it's tied to. This is going to be interesting. I don't know how it's going to turn out. We'll just have to see what happens with Google, right? We'll do some Googling. We'll see what sort of examples we can come up with. And that is the coding journey in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the Google overlords that we have. Okay, cool. That's enough rambling for me. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care of yourselves. As always, happy learning, and bye for now.